Number 1 Iron Age Booty Daddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Age Nights. What's going on, everybody? Oh man, we made it through another week. And I say that because this was a particularly brutal week. Tuesday was nuts. Oh, that was fun. Boy, not going to do that again for a long time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how is everybody doing tonight? Oh, my goodness, Lord. It has been awesome. I am already getting crap in the chat for being late when I literally started the show on time.
Like you do.
You know how the chat do. The chat don't care. The chat's just like, no, we have a stick and you're there. And the chat do with the stick as they do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Age Nights. This is the show where, I know, right? Screw you. This is the show where we bring you a fantastic creator that you have probably not heard of before, but we do hope that they become your next favorite.
They couldn't find a fantastic one, so they got me. So.
Oh, good luck. All right. Oh, man. Oh, no. I'm down. I dig it, man. So, but before we continue, everybody, let's say hello to everybody who's in the chat over on Rumble. We got Frequency Studio Publishing. What's going on? That man is also known as Wrangler. Also a fantastic author of the fantastic book Haley Star Bad Kitty, which is this book right here. So make sure you go check him out. And we've got Gorham. What's going on? Or Garham. Chatsu, what's going on? He says, lurking while working. Good, man, good. Work is always good. Work soothes the soul, man. That's what it does. So hopefully, you guys have a fantastic time here. And then over here on YouTube, Wrangler comes in and he drops a super chat before the show even started. And that's Frequency Studios Publishing for $4.20. We've got Raving Dad Gaming in the house. How you doing, man? Derek Baird, what's going on? Horizon Talker, how are you doing? Swift Sword Rush, Kristen Colebrook, Resonant One, what's going on? Evely Music, he says LGF, which I have so affectionately said stands for Let's Go Fucking. Because it should be like Let's Fucking Go, LFG, but he screwed it up. So, and I like this one. I like this version a lot better. It sounds much more fun. Hey, as
more
Bruner,
community lore.
Yeah, I want more community lore. This channel's gonna have so much lore in another year. It's gonna be ridiculous. Hey, as Bruner over on the channel, he says my favorite tips and tricks channel is live. Oh my God. You guys need to go watch the Tuesday live stream. That thing was and while you guys are watching it going, wow, this is not enjoyable. I really want to get out of here. I really would like to do anything. Like when you guys are at that point where you're just like, oh, I could jump off the Empire State Building. That would be more productive. Think about where I was in that. Oh my God, that was, it was fun.
Video for sure.
Oh my God. Eric Grant, how you doing? Animation Overload. What's going on? Liu, how you doing? Maji Chan, what's going on? Thank you guys so much for being here. Oh man, we are going to talk about a fantastic project tonight, and a project that really, really, really captured my mind and heart really quickly. Oh, I guess Frost Comics and Garfield's Bizarre Adventure, they jumped in just now. Mm-hmm. But before we go to all of that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a man who seems to want to work over a forge constantly. Not only has he done one anvil, he has done two, and now he's currently working on the third one. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that we call the king of the Iron Age. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard of IronAge.media. How are you doing, man?
Doing well. Had a good week. Just getting some things done. I'm working my way through the issue number 3 submissions, and already found a couple that I think are going to make it in, hopefully.
Awesome.
Or at least, will be up for debate. And
best part.
Been harassing the illustrious Mr. Jacob Kalta to get the layout work cracking, and so we're doing that, and I think everything's going to be moving right along for the second issue. I'm excited about it. We crossed 7K between the two campaigns last night, and I'm hopeful that we can keep that rolling. So
I have not even seen the second dude. I'm gonna be real with you. I haven't even gone through Anvil yet. I am I am so far behind on everything to do with my channel. It's not even funny.
Just flip through and look at the pictures. There you go.
Okay. So I kind of already did that. Kind of. The night that you gave it to me.
Oh dear.
Dude, I am horrible at this thing. As well as how do the people do this? I'm like, oh yeah, YouTube is their full-time job. That's how they do it.
Yeah, on the submissions, we're sitting at 300K words that we need to whittle down to something like 40. So, and we're not, and it's open till the 30th. So,
dude, I still have Achromatic Chronicles Blue sitting here.
I also have that. I don't know. It was sitting next to me, but I'm not sure where it is now.
It's still in the package.
I need to do a post of all the stuff that people have sent in, and things that I've gotten. But I keep not doing it because I need to lay things out on a table and get a nice picture and everything else, and I haven't gotten around to it.
I get it. All right, now
I don't have that problem.
For the king's partner in crime, the man who goes out and he brings the billy club with him, and if you have a story in your head, he's gonna get that story out of your head and onto the page, whether you like it or not, and he might charge a small fee to do it. Boy, that was a weird way to introduce this next guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Daniel P. Riley. Good sir, how have you been?
Either sounds like an editor or a serial killer. I'm not sure.
A little bit of both.
There's a parallel. There's a parallel.
That's fine.
The trench batons upstairs.
Editors work with these strange smelly vagrants that don't know how to properly care for themselves.
Did you just call the chat smelly?
Just the writers. And,
okay.
And serial killers just take those same kinds of people off the street.
Oh
and,
God!
Murder them. So,
No!
And occasionally make
versus
food.
literal murder. It's we'll call them A, we'll call them B.
Daniel, how have you
Whatever
been this last?
Whatever gets the story out of their head.
Yeah.
They can do it themselves or I'll do it for them.
He's like, hey, either you can open up your mind or I will. What do you want? Oh, boy.
I'm doing it for more. It's like,
Oh,
It's
God.
your choice.
It's your
Anyway.
choice.
I'm doing well.
Oh.
I am exhausted. Yeah.
See.
As some of
Yeah.
you may be aware, I had an absolute brain fart in a Twitter conversation this morning.
That was the funniest thing.
I got like 4 hours of sleep at most before I was rudely awakened and had to run out and, operate things that I don't have a lot of experience with, but it is what it is. But yeah, one of the 5 projects I've been working on this month just went back to its owner. So I've only got 4 left.
Attaboy. Attaboy. Yeah, and only
There you go.
12 more days. It's fine.
all done but the weeping
Oh,
and gnashing
easy.
of teeth. There you go.
Right. Fantastic. Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the point of tonight's conversation. A guy who put out a project that definitely caught my attention multiple Wednesdays back when we were doing the the Comic Shop Wednesday stream. This is a project that, and I'll get into this a little later, but really, really harkened back to the early days of comics for me and the patriotism that a lot of those early day comic books, you think early Superman, early Captain America, really, really pushed. And I thought about this and immediately I was like, I need to get this guy on the show. So ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to introduce you to the man who is probably going to take over your mind and everybody else's. Not my mind. That's the Wig of Destiny. The Wig of Destiny can combat him. But ladies and gentlemen, I would very much love to give a very, very, very special hello to T Bunny, also known as Telepathic Bunny, also known as S.A. Cooper. It is fantastic to have you here, man. How was your last week, man? How you been, man? How's life going?
Well, I work third shift, and I've been working 6-day weeks. So,
Oh, I've been there. I've been there.
it's
Oh,
kind
those
of
are,
been a bit of a haze, but
yeah, those are fun, aren't they?
very much so, very much so.
Absolutely. Oh man.
Yeah,
So-
everybody's like, "Hey, where have you been, man? Why aren't you pushing your book more?" And I'm like, "I don't know where my butt is right now, so I'll get back to you."
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely no, dude. I totally get that. I totally understand that. It's that's one of those things that the day job takes over a lot of time that you would love to dedicate to other things, and then
Right.
and then those things that you're dedicating to, all of a sudden they're actually working, and you're just like, oh, but they haven't quite taken over the day job yet, and they're just everybody else is like, hey, where's that thing? And you're like, well, if you go get more people to help out.
Oh, definitely.
So, no,
yeah,
man.
When I had kind of like been posting my campaign kind of like in your thread every Wednesday for a little while, and that day I'd actually kind of forgot about it, and then I was like, oh yeah, maybe I need to do this, so I went ahead and kind of like did it a little bit late, and then later on, Hojo's like lighting up my DMs. He's like, "You won't believe what just happened, man. You need to watch this replay." And so I watched the replay, and I was like, "Somebody got it! Oh my god! I understand." Wow.
Man, I hope I did. Yeah, I think I did, because it's a project. We'll get into the project a little later, but man, it is a project that I look at the hard times that I feel that we are coming to, and and what we are about to go through, and I'm like, this comic perfectly encapsulates what had already happened in history, correlating perfectly with the time period that I hope we don't go through, but I think we're getting there. And I don't think a lot of people see that. But before we get into that, before we get into community service, let's talk a little bit about what got you into the creative world that you're in. What got you making your own stuff? What inspired you? What age were you? What did your life look like the whole journey through to get you here?
Well, I'll give you a let me give you the version that won't give you nightmares. Okay. Kidding. Anyway, not really.
Some of our guests, like they've got some heartbreaking stories, man. So don't feel like you got to hold back.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay.
I-
All right. So it all started with hero fiction for me, and the hero fiction started with the Bible. Um, my father had a children's Bible, and this was the old Zundervan children's Bible. It did not hold back. It did not make everything fluffy and so I mean, it had illustrations. I mean, if there was a valley of dry bones, there was literally an illustration of a valley of dry
Wow.
bones, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And that got me into superheroes because Samson was very clearly a superhero. David, even though he wasn't physically a superhero, he did superheroic things. I mean, the Goliath is just the beginning of the iceberg with him.
Right.
Jesus himself, supernatural, had powers, walked on water, and so that was my first I remember being very fascinated by the Bible was a piece of fiction, or not a fiction. I mean, it's not. I believe it's
No,
not
I get you.
fictional,
I
but,
get you.
As I viewed it as a storybook more than anything.
Right.
And from there, I guess I got into mythology and some other things along the way. Eventually, Incredible Hulk introduced me to kind of like the Marvel universe. Lou Ferrigno and David Banner.
Wow.
Also, I always say Dukes of Hazzard was a superhero show.
I love the Dukes of Hazzard. I actually have been wanting to go find the DVD box set for it, but it's really, really hard to find now.
Right.
For reasons.
Well, I mean, but yeah, I mean, cars aren't meant to do that, Then, from there on, I think
I saw something. I think they went through 176 General Lees. Like cars were not meant to do what they made that car do, and they made it and I think they said they went through 176. They had the one that they always drove, but they found 176 of those things to just absolutely use and abuse and destroy. God, I can't even know the mechanics that worked on those shows.
Right. And they're not cheaply made vehicles either.
No, they were not. Well, and they weren't made at the time.
Those things through hell.
Oh, I know. It was great. Yeah. I love that show. I need to find the box set, and I need to have I'm gonna force my kids, no, you're sitting here with Daddy all day and we're watching Dukes of Hazzard. Sorry, go on.
There you go. Anyway, like my first real life hero was my older brother Jonathan, who was like his fearless nut job, who did crazy stuff. Like there's a stand of pines in the backyard of our house between us and the neighbors that were they planted too close together because they were intertwined. Mm-hmm. And my brother would go from just for the hell of it, just to challenge himself, would go from one tree to one tree, one tree to one tree, right? And one day he comes out from and his white blonde hair was red, so he'd fallen out and cracked his skull open or whatever.
Oh no!
But yeah, but that was he was fearless like that, and he did crazy stuff like that all the time. But he was like the first real life hero for me, so. I'll there's a correlation there later. I'll as I go.
Oh no.
But yeah, so that I raised pretty good. Mother and father in the house, but I'm a typical Generation X. You know, pretty much turned out at dawn, told not to come back till dusk. And
I've been there.
you
I'm a
know,
millennial, but my dad was.
the,
I've been there. I know how it is.
well, latchkey. The
Oh
Generation
yeah.
X, the lost generation.
Yep.
We raised by pop culture.
Yep.
And well, so I mean, I had a kind of a disaster-prone childhood. Everything from you know, uh, sitting on a cement block that happened to have a yellow jacket's nest inside of it when I
Oh
was
no,
4.
dude, that makes me hurt.
I know, lawnmower accident when I was 5.
Fire ant hill.
Lost a toe, uh, the big one on my left foot. Just it was like that kind of craziness, just pretty much the whole childhood. But when I got to the childhood kind of like ended when I was around 9 years old. There's a car accident where you know took my parents and that brother.
Oh my god.
So I was in the car and I got a brother and sister left, but that's pretty much like and the only thing
Wow.
that kept me sane was heroic fiction, because
Understandable.
yeah,
Wow.
because when I got sent to live with an aunt and uncle, and the uncle had a horrific childhood. I mean, horrific childhood. We're talking Dickensian childhood.
Oh my god.
He was the offspring of the town drunk and the town whore.
Oh no.
So so he obviously was not emotionally available for me. So I was pretty much left to my own to figure out what becoming a man was all about. And so the thing that I used to kind of fill in the gap was the hero fiction and superheroes and things like that. People don't understand that that's the stopgap. Heroic fiction is the stopgap. Heroic fiction, because for boys and men to become men is an achievement. It's not something that comes natural to you, and
True.
somebody has to
Yeah.
show you the way. And
Yeah.
that's why so many people that become successful have like tattoos of Superman or Batman on them somewhere, or Punisher logo. But so it became like something really important to me. But losing my brother was like a real blow to me. He was my best friend, first hero and things like that. And so in a way, what I'm doing now is kind of like something. If you notice, my telepathic bunny logo has his initials on the lapel, and the code is green. Green happened to be his favorite color, so I'm kind of like he's kind of like with me in this, because it's a dream that we would have done together if he was still alive. So, but
Wow.
I told you it's pretty bad.
It's a great way to honor somebody.
No,
Yeah.
it really is. Honoring them through artwork and immortalizing them
Right.
in a small way
Carrying
like
him through the
that.
process.
Well, see, his
Always
nickname
there.
was Cotton Top, and so that's the nickname for the rabbit, on the
I like
logo.
that.
So eventually, I'm gonna have like plushies and things with him as I go. But he's
That's awesome.
but in a lot of ways, the depth of my writing comes from the experiences I've gone through, and so I can't really. I mean, some people are like, man, if I could change this, I would. But to be honest, your journey is your journey, and so if you change one thing, then you wouldn't be the same person you are today. And so the whole going back in time and fixing stuff from the past and stuff like that. It's it's a I've never really agreed with that narrative because you can't fix your life. You can't fix things that have happened to you. Uh, because that makes you who you are. You'd be somebody entirely different, and you come back to a world where the person, if you fixed everything in the past, then the person you come back to uh, would be unrecognizable to people, and so
Yeah.
and so a lot of you know I've been told my writing had a lot of the stuff in my writing. There's a emotional complexity there, and I was like, well, I hope so, because I kind of paid for the emotional intelligence with a lot of a lot of pain over the years. So you can't really get there any other way. Um, yeah, it's just, that's the Faustian bargain, Yeah, you want to write better? Well, you have to suffer some,
It's true.
and that's probably why so much modern writing sucks, is because we've had a generation that where all the edges were knocked off, and were given participation ribbons and told that they were wonderful. They didn't have to go through the uh, Lord of the Flies. That was the schoolyards of Gen X when we were growing up. The survival of the fittest. You go home after being bullied all day and have to know you have to face it tomorrow. Get an ulcer by the time you're in 8th grade.
I mean, you
But-
see some of the videos coming out on Twitter now. I think the generation of tomorrow will probably be good writers if that's what it takes. Like,
yeah.
but like,
Well, the thing about it is maybe that's a good thing. In some ways, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe a little suffering needs to come back into the culture for, to have
It's usually
strong
how
people.
it goes.
and I don't disagree with that at all. I think that, I mean, everybody knows, the old adage at this point. It's been bandied about, for years, and it's getting more and more popular. But strong men make good times make weak men make bad times make strong men.
Yep.
And
That's the
lather,
cycle.
rinse. Yeah, it is. It really is the
cycle.
cycle, and I think that we're probably entering into either the bad times of it, or the making strong men again. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But
Well, I have a theory about that. I've talked this to Daniel, but I have a theory that Gen X is starting to wake up, because I think we finally have arrived at the time that Gen X has always been built for. Because Gen X is always, we've always kind of like numbed our pain with the pop culture, but they destroyed our pop culture, and so now we don't have the warm bath that was Star Wars. We don't have the enjoyment that was Marvel and DC. We don't have television shows and things like that we could kind of like ignore the world and kind of like live in these other universes. Now we're going to have to make our own, and I think
we
Gen
do.
X is finally coming into their own. Most of us are late 40s, 50s, and 60s, but I think this generation, that they call it the lost generation, but I think it's finding itself right before our eyes, and I'm really
A little late.
a little late, but most Gen Xers are late bloomers.
Yeah.
Man.
yeah.
True that.
I'm working on my first comic at 50 years old. I just launched at my 50th birthday. So, but I think
Yep.
we arrived late, but I think we're finally arriving.
Well, it's a little bit more like the sleeping giant,
there
in
you
my
go.
opinion. Anyways, we've always been very independent,
Yeah,
and
independent.
we
and,
just sort of
strong-willed.
operate. Yeah, we just
Yeah.
operate. We go about our business. We do what we need to do to survive. We keep our head down.
Right.
You kick us hard enough to make us lift our head up.
Well, so
then
there's
there's a
there's
problem.
this lady on YouTube that does like Gen X, you know, comedy or whatever, and somebody was like, "So what do you know?" And she's like, "I was there with, you know, what did you know about the internet?" She says, "I was there with, I know the deep magic. I was there when it was written, you know."
Yeah.
We were there at the dawn
Oh,
of
yeah.
it, you know. You know,
Yep.
so don't tell us about the deep magic. We were there when it was written, you know. And
A lot of us were writing it.
a lot of us are writing it, right? Exactly. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm not a very like optimistic person. You know, of course, if you've seen my life, you know, you kind of understand. I have a trouble with optimism, a little bit of a little streak of agnostic in me. So, but uh, but the thing about it is just I'm seeing the ship righting itself. I'm seeing the counterculture rising up. I'm seeing what the baby boomers must have been seeing when when they were the counterculture was rising up back at the 50s and 60s, and I'm seeing this like really thriving culture that is, you know, throwing off the vestiges of the mainstream and starting to find its footing. And it's very exciting to me to be there for the beginning of it. And I, you know, so in a way, Simon, in a way, it's the best of times and the worst of times, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it always?
Exactly.
No, and man, holy crap. Okay. Man, there was a lot. Where to even go from that? Okay. I usually don't do this in the show, but I feel like it's relevant now. Wrangler dropped a super chat for 420 because that's all he ever drops is 420, and he says Gen X rock on. I feel that, and I usually don't read super chats in the show, but so where? Oh God. Okay, so
Wind it back.
Where does your no, I don't have to wind it back. It's
Okay.
you've said a lot there, and I feel like my next question is, so where does your artistic journey begin? You told us where your motivations come from, and that you're right. That's a hell of a way to begin. So
Yeah.
where does your artistic journey begin? Where does it begin where you're
I started creating rather than consuming.
Yeah. Where does that begin?
Well, I'd always been a avid reader. I've got like 6 bookshelves in this house that are just stacked. Okay.
Wow.
And I
Most
can
of
tell
us
you,
Gen Xers are.
there you go. But I can put it a book and I can tell you what it's about. So I've read every book in here. It's not decoration. Um, but I think after a while, and I tell people all the time because I give writing advice, and I tell people if you're not reading a lot, then your writing is never going to be anything but derivative of the last thing you looked at. And like visual medium is not enough because most people they just stop at visual medium. They don't because they don't go and they don't read enough. But you really need to like pull something about reading something in your own mind, creating the film strip in your head that it pretty much you absorb more information that way. And so I was always an avid reader, but at a certain point, um, I was starting to tell my own stories. You know, I was starting to like read things and say, you know what, I would have preferred it if this story went here rather than there. And so the desire came in to take that
This
story.
is before fan fiction existed, by the way.
Exactly. Ironically, though, where I found
fan fiction has existed for a long time.
right, exactly. Well,
'Cause we old.
ironically, my first foray, my first successes came in fan fiction, um, where I started to, um, you know, because fan fiction allows you instant feedback, and it allows you people know these worlds, they know these characters, they know these people, and so they'll know if you're not doing your research. They'll know if you're not, you know, not dotting every I and crossing every T. And so, and I jumped into the most like, shall we say, rabid fan base, which is the Harry Potter universe. Okay,
Ooh, yeah, those guys are
Dangerous waters.
okay.
they're
So,
like the literary K-pop fans.
so
Mhm.
I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and so I went to a private Catholic school when I was a kid, and at that time, like Harry Potter was a no go.
Right.
Like you were not allowed to read it. Like, and I'd went and seen the movies. I didn't know the big deal.
Fantasy.
Well, but a lot of that,
It's craft. It's
a lot of that was there. But I'd seen the movies and stuff. But because of that, I didn't because I was smacked up. Like I should be the Harry Potter generation. Like I should love all the books. I didn't understand how popular Harry Potter was, and so I was like, why are all these people losing their crap over this? I'm like, that's some good
Right.
movie. And I talked with a buddy of mine. And this is a buddy of mine who, you know, he's 30 years old. He'll read the entire series every single year. And he's not even the most avid fan. But I was like, dude, what's going on with this? Like this wasn't that popular when we were kids. And he goes, yes, it was. And I'm like, what?
Right.
He's like, and he described to me a multiple instances being out kids wearing wizard outfits, just going to like game stores and like Targets and stuff, and like showing up to school, and like and just I was so far removed from that culture. I had no idea how popular Harry Potter was, legitimately, until we talked about it 3 months ago. I am 31 years old, and I had no idea it was that popular.
Well, the funny thing is, the aunt that took me in was my mother's sister. Actually, passed away 4 years later, after she took me in, and she had a weak heart, and she didn't. I honestly, I don't think we were the ones. The stress of having us was the problem. I think she was always meant to pass away at that age because because she loved being a mother and everything. But my uncle remarries in less than a year, and the woman he brought in had a son with her who was a Dudley. Okay.
Oh, no.
And so I kind of came with the house. My uncle had no interest in protecting me, and so I pretty much I became the kid under the stairs. Okay. And so when I first read Harry Potter, I was like, this is my world. This is my fiction.
I can relate.
And so I guess deep down I always like you're a wizard. You're a wizard. That I didn't have Hagrid telling me that, but I was telling myself that in a way. And so when I went to write my first fan fiction, I wrote a sequel to the Harry Potter universe using the last chapter of Harry Potter as my jumping off point. And I wrote about Albus Potter, his son. And but the thing about it was I put him in Hufflepuff. Nobody else put him in Hufflepuff. I did, and I did it successfully enough that I had fan fiction pages. I had people that were just like, I still get visits on my webpage for that, but that was my launching off point. I had several other fictions that really took off. I have a MASH fic that is very well thought of. I have actually a Big Bang Theory fiction that I'm like, if
dude, it sounds like you need to go work for Hollywood right now. They're looking for writers.
right.
It sounds like you could write better stuff than they can.
Well, I probably could. But that's a low bar. That's a really low
I
bar.
was gonna say,
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insult you. I apologize.
It's like
not that hard.
not that hard, not that hard.
Put a cohesive story together that has a beginning, middle, and end. Make characters that actually
Right.
make sense, and you're
Okay,
done.
now I feel like you're insulting me.
He probably is. It's Daniel, right? Anyway.
Well, you're not wrong.
Well, but I think the real transitional work that I did was I did a 5-book series. It's actually 5 mini books in like one book, and it's one arc or whatever. And it's called Dr. John Watson, Police Surgeon, Scotland Yard is the series. But and it came from this really organic place because I found out that back then the coroners were actually the forensic experts. Okay,
Correct.
and so when
Such
Sherlock,
as-
exactly, but in the empty house, it says that John Watson was like tooling around with Lestrade, right? And it's like, why would those two be together? And it's just like, suddenly this idea came to my head. And so I wrote this whole entire series of basically Sherlock Holmes without Sherlock Holmes, but using John Watson. And I'm like, this dude was a army veteran, badass army veteran. He made it out of one of the worst defeats that the British Army ever took. And he made it back. And so I'm like, that guy's got to pick up some skills if he survived that. Plus, he's a crack shot. He had nerves of steel. He's actually more happy, and that's like, and plus he sat across from the greatest forensic detective that the world had known it to that point. I was like, he had to learn something. And so I created this series, and I actually had somebody, one of my biggest compliments was I had somebody mad at me because they didn't miss Sherlock Holmes. And when I brought Sherlock Holmes back into the story, they're like, hey, we don't need Sherlock Holmes in this story. And I'm mad at you because, I love Sherlock Holmes so much, But so I went from like that whole entire period up to the empty house. But then I hated the empty house. That was Arthur Conan Doyle basically saying, all right, I'll write Sherlock Holmes. And so he wrote the crappiest story. It's got plot holes the size of you can drive a transfer truck through, just to get people off his back. And so,
well, and his thing is that there's the famous quote from him that, if he were to be remembered only by Sherlock Holmes, he would have failed as a writer. And
it was the first toxic fandom, Sherlock Holmes. And
I can believe
he didn't even
that.
want to bring the guy back the first time.
No, he didn't. Actually, Hound of the Baskervilles is not a Sherlock Holmes story. It's a John Watson story.
Technically, yes.
But
Gotta throw that word in there.
Move on, and
Technically,
he just repurposed it later.
Yeah, because the actual published and distributed version is Holmes centered, but the original concept was designed for John Watson. Right. And that's why I believe in like the first third of it, Holmes is constantly off doing stuff.
Exactly. And so if Holmes doesn't ever come back into the story, if you look at it, he really didn't have that much impact on the outcome. But so when I wrote that series, and it was original enough that I could have published it. But then when I started looking into getting it published, I realized what a closed loop the mainstream is, and just how impossible it is to publish anything. You have to find an agent. They have to accept you, and then they have to submit it, not you. So you have to trust. They have to be a good enough agent with a good enough connections to get somewhere. And then it has to fill a niche, and that means you might have to rewrite it for a specific niche. And then, only then, meanwhile, if you go through all these hoops and somebody like, say some random celebrity's kid, one of the Kardashians that have a better chance of getting published than you. they'll just get him a ghostwriter as long as they could slap a name on it. And so,
Yep.
and so understanding this, you know, I was like, I kind of gave up on that dream for a while. And then, uh, meanwhile, the shutdown and everything happened, and I finally had time to finish this project. And I basically had a world written and a comic written, sent it to an editor, and and suddenly this opportunity opened up with crowdfunding that you can publish your own thing. Um, Used to have been vanity press, right? Remember the bad word that was vanity.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you couldn't find somebody to publish you, huh?
Yep.
And so it was like you were looked down upon if you like printed your own copies, and so once that middleman got cut out and effectively, and the stigma got off of publishing your own stuff and making it available, suddenly the whole world opened up, and so then I ran into your boy Zach. I think he's kind of like the first step into the the indie comic scene, at least this part of it, and which is funny because he disdains all of it. So
Yeah.
it like coalesced around him, and then he's just like, I'm not part of it. It's like, whatever, dude. But from him, I found, of course, the next step is EVS, in his circle, and so I found the whole comic skate thing, and so here's the community that is taking people, first time creators, never sniffed the mainstream, never even thought of being published, and people were actually putting books in hands that they created themselves, found. And I honestly think comics is like the pinnacle of fiction, the pinnacle of at least artistic, because you can combine art with writing in the most like perfect marriage, moments in time, sequential art, and so, I've always wanted to make a comic, and so here I have a script, which I was told by Norm Leinert, my good friend Norm Leinert, was one of the best that he'd read. And so I decided to go from there. That's how I wound up where I am today. So meanwhile, poor Norm disappears on me. So here I am finally fulfilling the dream that we kind of had together, and he kind of disappears on me. So hoping that he's somewhere, but he, when your Twitter disappears and you're as addicted to it as he was, it's never a good sign. So, hoping he's alive somewhere.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's always crazy when stuff like that happens.
It's social media, you're the last to know. You could have the best friend on social media that lives in a couple countries over, and then they just disappear one day.
That's true.
And you won't know what happened to them, so
yeah,
it's
true. My daughter has strict instructions to inform you all in case of my demise or Richard
there
murder.
You go. So, well, I think you'd leave us such a scar by your absence that I think people would know.
I don't know. I'm pretty quiet these days. I post like maybe once or twice a day and respond to a couple of people and then go back to work.
So you don't give any writers PTSD these days, or
Nah, well, I do, but that's
privately.
Yeah, that's in file transfer instead of going after anybody on Twitter.
Right, exactly.
And look at all the comments on the manuscripts that I send back, and they go,
well, the thing that I kind of had a really interesting experience with that. My first person was Luke Stone that looked at my in my script, and he gave me good advice. But he's like, well, I'm not an editor, so you need to find an editor. And then I found a man called Kimo Sabi. He's he lives in Australia, but he's brilliant literary mind. And he looked at my thing and he's like, well, actually, I have a project that's too close to this, so you need to find another editor. I don't ever edit anybody that's too close to mine. He's Company Man is what his project's called. It's amazing. Once I read his Company Man, I was like, oh, that's why. Okay. Just too close, and so I found Norm, and Norm, he's my editor. Funny thing about it is, after that initial editing that I paid him for, I kept like coming back to him, and I was like, okay, how much was this? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it, So, but he really believes in the project. I'm gonna say believed yet till I know, but he's the reason why I'm here. So he's going to have a dedication, whether, even if he didn't disappear, he's still going to have a dedication. Crazy guy, man. Crazy guy. Talked about being pantsless and how pantslessness is close to godliness. He had this thing about Magneto being right, and that, it's funny. But
sounds like me.
Like that. Yeah, he's pretty close. Yeah, so so this project, that the next encouraging word I got was pretty much from that when you guys took a look at it on your show, and I was like awesome, because I hadn't got a lot of traction up to that point, and so I was starting to kind of doubt myself. I don't doubt my project, but I was kind of doubting myself. And so to hear people like get it, and read it, and or at least see the trailer and get it automatically what it was about, I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. That part of it.
Yeah, there you go. You found your audience, right?
Exactly. So, as long as there's a audience somewhere, I think sometimes we feel like we're screaming into the void, constantly. Yeah. So it's like you're just like firing into the woods and hoping that you hit somebody, and then somebody yelps and you're like, ah,
gotcha.
I hit somebody. Yeah. So, but yeah, so one thing about it is I think this Iron Age thing that I'm seeing is is like the next step of evolution. So I'm really excited to see what's going on over here. Trying to get more involved, but and he's back. So
yes,
shuffle walk.
Well, and no, and I was listening to what you were saying, and when you were saying that you felt like some people got it, like when I watch. Well, let's get into community service, because I feel like that's so.
This comment over
watched
here
the trailer.
is beautiful. This comment, the resident one, he says, "Be worried only if the void screams back."
No, never be worried if the void screams back. If the void screams back, you're doing something right.
There you go.
But when we picked it for the Wednesday night show, myself and my supporters, and that's a totally different show than this one.
Right.
When I picked it, I was looking at it, and it really, going into the times that we're going into, and knowing how superhero stories were told,
right,
and where they got their popularity, like our superheroes, Captain America, Superman, the big ones that we know of from the big two, they got their prominence in World War II, and the strife that the country was going through and the American patriotism that was happening at the time. And for those who are a little confused as to what I'm talking about, I'm gonna have to pull it up on the small screen here because Fun My Comic doesn't like it when I share big screen. But let's look at this.
Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it the gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet? Has to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it already. As for me, give me liberty, or give me death.
Never gets old. Never gets old.
No, and it doesn't. And when I saw that, trailer, I realized that you are, for lack of a better word, a patriot, and somebody who understands that in this time that but not just for the iconography, but for the timing that this is coming out, and it made me realize that something that you've probably been paying attention to as long as I've been paying attention to it, maybe even longer, that we're going to need American heroes, like patriotic heroes that make us excited to be patriotic, that make us excited to be, here where we are and going through the struggles that we're going through. Because I really do believe that we're going to go through some struggles here. And when I saw the trailer and I looked through the project, and it's a man who is standing up to fight for value. Yeah. And it's I think one of the last times we saw American patriotism in the pop culture was, believe it or not, a Captain America movie. And when Captain America was saying, no, this isn't right, this isn't what America stands for, and he was willing to go outside the law to be an American. And I see that here in this, and it really made me feel less alone. It made me feel like someone else gets it. And I know that you've said that a few times, but that's how I felt, and that's part of the reason that I wanted to bring you on the show, because I really do feel that you have the next American hero, the next American icon that can really show people that we can still hold true to those values that keep us American, that keep us in the land of the free, the home of the brave, and understanding, and obviously in your book here, it is the government that is going against the American dream, the American way. Right. And I just felt that was so unbelievably powerful. And that is the reason that I was like, look, we've got to get him on the show, because I need to talk with him about it. What is it that made you want to write that, especially because I know you're coming up with it. I know you're coming up with the story before, obviously, today, but I know you're coming up with this story during a tumultuous time where proclaiming that you're an American will get you canceled offline, will get you fired from your jobs, will get you. What makes you write this story during that time period?
Well, I have to say Hell Hydra when Captain America said Hell Hydra, because it made me physically ill. I was at work. I remember where I was. I was at work, and I was like not supposed to have my phone out, but I had my phone out, and this article popped up. I mean, I'd kind of like, because at that time it was Winter Soldier had just come out and had just nailed the box office. It was the pinnacle. I think it was the pinnacle of the MCU. It was the best movie the MCU ever put out, and the most important movie, I thought.
I still think it is. I mean, outside of the first Iron Man movie, maybe the first Avengers movie. Right. But I mean, those are like top 3 Marvel. The first Iron Man, the first Avengers, and then Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are top tier.
Well, when Fury shows him the ships and shows him the plans for the for the protection of America or whatever, and he told him, he's like, this is going to protect America's freedom, and Captain America said, this doesn't look like freedom, and and that moment, and it was just like that moment there in when they made Captain America say Hell Hydra, and I realized that because at that time, Captain America had made it into the culture. He'd made it to the normies. They were wearing Captain America shirts with a shield on it, right? And this was everywhere. And nationalism had just, started making a comeback, and people were starting, the populism or whatever was rising up, and people were starting to feel cool about America again. And then I saw them assassinate in front of my eyes Captain America. And it made me physically ill because I understood what was coming. I understood that this was just the test case. This is as big as Superman. This is making Superman into a fascist. This is there's just people,
which they did,
and they
did,
and they did.
But this was something that was a Rubicon. This was something that you should never mess with. You should never, and the fact that they could mess with that with impunity, let me know that comics was over. That these worlds that that I kind of kept me sane during some of the darkest days, that I was basically looking at it suicide, and it made me sick enough that I went home. It shook me that much. And I've been made fun of for saying that, but I understood at that moment that there was no way back from that. This is not just a mere character. This was a symbol, and symbology means everything in America. Okay. Because we don't have the history that other countries have. What we have is our symbols. We have the iconography that we made for ourselves, and they're very uniquely American. No other country has them. All the other and when you mess with that, you mess with the very identity of America itself. And so I guess that and that moment in Winter Soldier, when there was this moment in Winter Soldier also where he and Black Widow are having this conversation after they get out of the bunker, that Hydra has been revealed, and he's actually cheerful, and she's like, "What you're okay with this? Why are you so okay with this?" And he says, "Because I finally know what I'm fighting." He's like, because if you know what you're fighting, then you can fight the battle. But it's when it's nebulous that you don't know what you're fighting. And so those moments is kind of worked into this. But I wanted a character that went further back than Captain America. I wanted somebody that went back to the founding of the country. And so my character basically came to America on a ship as a indentured servant. He came as a slave, basically, an young Irish lad, brought to America as a slave.
Somebody who knows the Irish history in the U.S.
Yes, exactly. The first slaves that came over were Irish, and so he basically gets purchased by a kindly man that was running a press, and so basically taught him to read, became his press, his typesetter. And what he didn't know was in his spare time, this guy was running off Thomas Paine's pamphlets in the middle of the night. And
okay, if I may interrupt you for a moment. My graduation quote for my yearbook was, "We have it in our power to begin the world again." And that is one of my favorite quotes from our founding fathers, and that was Thomas Paine.
Thomas Paine. Yeah. But these pamphlets were the beginning of the revolution. They were common sense were what they were called.
Yep.
And these and it was just basically telling people, okay, no matter how good you have it, we're under somebody else's thumb. We're under somebody else's rule. And even if you feel like you're content with the way things are, know that they won't stay this way. The only way that we can steer our course is if we have freedom, right? And so this guy, the British, people don't understand the British oppression at that time. They were murdering people. They were dragging them out in the streets and murdering them, and there was people were informing on one another. And the British were trying to nip this country in the bud, and they were doing it by any brutal means possible. There's a guy named Ballastre Tarrington, who's like a monster, like a brutal monster, and he was did things that a serial killer would be ashamed to do, but
he was high society and a sadist. So
yeah, high society and a sadist, right? But the thing about it was, but this guy gets dragged out in the street and beat to death in front of him, and because that guy held his deed, that deed became void, and he became a freed man. So what does he do with that freedom? He goes straight into the he finds the rebellion and becomes a part of the rebellion. But in this world, basically, people have powers in this world, and so during the course of him fighting for the rebellion, he stumbles upon something in the middle of the night, hiding from patrols that were after him, that winds up giving him powers. And because he's the first person to show up in America with powers, he becomes a big part of the revolution. And he was in the room when they did the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. He was there. He was around at that time. And they wrote him into the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, as being overpowered people, because they had good reason to believe that he was immortal. And so they believed that they needed somebody to be overpowered people, but they had to be para-government. Because if the government was in charge of the powered people, then they would abuse them, and that the powered people could never be free unless there was one entity, para-government. And so they wrote him into the, and so he held this job or this responsibility. And so when the government had to ask him to use powered people, and he could tell them yes or no. And so they hated him for that. And so the people who wanted to, wanted powered people for their own, devices, basically wanted him gone. And so there was basically um, there was an ambush that took place in 1970, and he was hit with this crystallizing ray, this alien technology that they discovered, and because he died 9 times for his country, and he came back every time. And so they're like, the only way we can get rid of this guy is to just turn him into crystal, change him to a form that he can't come back from, And but the person that they had, the mind controlled to do it, fought off the mind control long enough to destroy the machines, so they didn't complete the job. But they did enough to him that they could, retire him because he couldn't use his arm or his eye anymore. And so they retired him, put him in the chain of command, made him a colonel.
Out to pasture.
There you go.
Right.
But because he was such a genius when it came to intelligence, the way that they got him to go away was they gave him a job in intelligence. And so he believed that's the way he could defend his country, was to be in the intelligence apparatus. But what he didn't know was they would slowly erase him from the history books. And basically they phased him out in the course of decades. But they had like one requirement for him to stay employed with the government is he could no longer be a hero, right? But the thing about it is he's not even out of the hospital, and suddenly this 28th Amendment shows up in all the states at the same time, and it gets voted on, and suddenly his mandate got taken out of the Constitution, and the 28th Amendment established a federal organization called the FERA, and essentially made them overpowered people instead of him. A federal organization overpowered people, and so suddenly the government had control of powered people, and so for 50 years it stays that way, and it and so and things progress, apace, and powered people have like 3 things. There are only 3 courses that they can take. They can either be working for the government, living as unpowered citizens, but under surveillance, or they can be prisoners. But that's the only 3 pathways open to it.
Really quickly, I've got to read. Maji Chan just gifted a Drink with Crazy membership.
Oh, okay.
10K got that one. Thank you so much, Maji Chan, for that. Those ones do disappear as the chat goes on, so I'm not able to save those, so I do have to shout those out as they go on.
No problem. But so it's but there's this couple of guys who managed to work through Congress and the course of decades, and they managed to get a 4th option, which is called community service. And also, meanwhile, there's talk of a 29th Amendment that's going to kind of like prohibition is going to be erase the 28th Amendment, because people are, generations on, they're starting to empathize with powered people enough that we made a mistake, we need to fix this. And but the thing that made them scared enough to do the 28th Amendment in the first place, the people within the government that were behind that realized that they need something to nip this in the bud, scare people enough that they won't vote for a 29th Amendment. And so they decide that this community service, initiative needs to go away. And so to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, they're going to do it as a dramatic enough a way that people are going to reevaluate their belief that powered people should be ungoverned. And so they basically are going to wipe out this community service crew. So they're all basically marked for death. But what they don't know is the guy that they chose to be the architect of it happens to be a former member of the Freedom Five, his Ironsides group. And so he basically, they tell him to join this organization that he's been trying to infiltrate for 50 years. That all he has to do that is to kill his mentor, kill the program that he's worked his entire life for, and kill his best friend who was part of getting the community service off the ground. And
is that all?
Is that all?
That's it. Boy, that's not a big ask. I don't know. Like,
Right.
You make it sound so dramatic.
Seriously.
Boy,
Should
that's
be
just
easy.
dude.
Barely
That's like, dude, that's literally Sunday afternoon in my Gilded. It's
There you
not
go.
even. It's not like it's a big.
we often kill people from the Gilded community.
Seriously, yeah.
You've been there, T
That's how you
Bunny.
get to
You
the
know.
gold tier.
I know. It's a knife fight in there all the time. It's like, okay, let me check in on the Gilded.
Say, you guys haven't seen Calvin Galata around, have you?
No, I haven't.
I saw something of him last week. No.
I'm kidding. I checked it on him. It's fine.
Something.
There you go.
That's boy. Don't give yourself away there.
Right.
Oh
right.
God.
Well, meanwhile, Ironsides is like realizes that he's been handled and he quits his job in a very dramatic, wonderful way. Basically, he gets told by the little weasel that's over him. It's like, he wants to know why his recommendations weren't followed because some people died. And the little weasel basically spills the beans. He's like, well, what's the point? He's just an old man, right? And he's like, because I'm not even sending your reports up the line, you're irrelevant. We do it all with computers anyway. And so Ironsides goes and gets his resignation and walks back in. He hands it to the guy, lifts him off the ground with one arm, and says, next time your computers do a threat assessment, do one on me. You'll find it informative. Lowers him back down, straightens him out, says, I quit, and he walks out. But on the way home, he drops. He basically he like ditches the people that are watching him all the time, and decides to intervene on the subway on the way home. Get his hero on a little bit, and suddenly his hand that he's been working without all these years moves. And so it turns out that he could have been in the hero game all along, but he never powered up. He took their word for it, was depressed for 50 years and took their word for it.
Power of the mind, man.
There you go.
I love that. I love that.
Right. And so right in the middle of this, this guy comes to his front door to basically assassinate him. At least that's what he's there for, what they think he's there for. But when when he invites him in, he basically tells him what's happening, and that Ironsides actually put him up to this a long time ago. The Ironsides is so brilliant, so strategically brilliant, that he put it into place a long time ago that if something ever happened to him, that there's a protocol that he put in place, but he had it taken out, had it removed from his mind to have ability to do that. And so he didn't remember commissioning this guy 50 years ago, right? But this guy's like, okay, I'm following the protocol that you put into place, and I'm almost,
you don't remember.
You don't remember it, and he says, but this is what's going on. I can't stand the thought of, even though I need this to happen to get into this group that I've been trying to infiltrate, I can't stand the thought of them dying. This community service group, this program that I worked so hard for, and my best friend. And I just can't. He says, so what I'm going to do? He says, so my idea is, here's the most brilliant, mind that America's ever produced, military-minded America's ever produced, and the greatest hero, and I'm going to stick him into this thing, and he's the only one that could possibly get out of it. He says, because I can't lower the bar, I can't be seen, making things easier. I've got to. This thing's got to look like it's got to come off, or I won't get a chance to take the head off the snake. And this is for 50 years will be wasted unless I find a way. He's going to try to have his cake and eat it too. So he sticks Ironsides. Basically, he tells Ironsides about it. They fake his death, and that's where we start. That's the
Very
starting
nice.
point. So, but yeah, so that's it's basically a kill box. That's why it's called a Little Bighorn, because nobody's supposed to come out of there alive. Okay, that's why it's kind of a joke. It's a bad joke. Oh, let's call it a Little Bighorn. Because it's gonna be a massacre, and it's what's supposed to be, but. But when you stick somebody like Ironsides in the middle of anything, and the brilliant thing is, the thing that makes it so special is they think Ironsides is dead, and so he could walk away. He doesn't have to do this. He could just walk away.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that argument that you see in the 3 panels that I've got on the is conversation he has with his best friend and one of the Freedom 5 members, Killhauler. And he's basically says, you don't have to do this. They made sure that it was none of your business. They kicked you out of this. This is no longer your responsibility. And Ironside, you think I don't know? You think I could walk away from it at this point? If I do that, I'm a dead man. Even if I'm not, even if I've got to do this because it's who I am, right? But that's all. That's the heroism I'm talking about. See, I basically made a Watchmen world, and I stuck a classic Captain America into a Watchmen world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
that is awesome.
And so, I mean, everybody's flawed. Everybody's got, and the people that he's there to save are all criminals. All of them are criminals, This is not this is not a bunch of, this is not a Boy Scout troop he's trying to save, okay? And they're all criminals. They're all headstrong. They're all, they're all screw ups in some way, shape, or form. And that's who he's there to save. And so, but the only way they can do that is if he goes in there and creates and forms them into a team and finds a way to get them out. And so that's pretty much what the whole first arc is getting them out of this kill box, out of this impossible situation. And I'm hoping people will give me the chance to tell this story because it's a doozy, man.
Yeah, I'm liking it so far.
But there's a lot of themes in there, a lot of things about government overreach, about that sometimes the government's being used by other forces, because in this world the FERA is just the tip of the iceberg. All these things happen because there's another organization that's behind everything, and it has nothing to do with America. It's got its own agenda, and so that's who he's really fighting, and that's why it's so hard to infiltrate, because this is invitation only. This is not a government organization. It's a para-government organization, and they're behind everything. I've got it all in plain sight, but there's Easter eggs all over my campaign about this organization, and so You know, it's even in the trailer. There's something in the trailer that kind of like, you know, kind of like reveals that. But I don't. You know, you can look all you want. I'm not going to tell you. Hey, I'm a bunny. I love Easter eggs. What can I say, right? It's a shadow government, right, Raven Dad? Yeah, it's a shadow government, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a way, that's kind of pertinent too to the current situation. Because I really honestly don't think what we're dealing with right now is, you know, you can't tell me that the mastermind is at the top of the government right now. That's not the mastermind. I mean, nobody is going to say, "Hey, you know what? We need a nefarious plan. I know. Let's get that guy. Let's ask that guy for advice." You know, the guy that's being led around by the Easter Bunny. You know, yeah. Let's ask that guy for our marching orders. No, and so I think. So basically, that's just part of this. The mystery, though, is who's at the head of this organization, and I've kind of got a little bit of a M. Night Shyamalan twist to that. So there you go.
Very cool.
Yeah. Did that bring up any questions? Anybody want to ask me to clarify anything?
Sure, I would say, in terms of character, obviously a lot of parallels are drawn to like Captain America.
Right.
What would you say are some of the big differences between like Ironsides and Captain America?
Well, the big difference is that Ironsides takes a longer view than Captain America did. Captain America was a soldier. Soldiers take orders. Captain America, had superiors. Ironsides didn't. Ironsides was the superior, and also Ironsides. He remembers what the nation was supposed to be at its inception. He understands.
Whereas Captain America was only around World War II.
World War II, right? And
so,
a
lot had changed by that time.
Exactly. And so, I mean, he remembers. He saw the government lose its way. Ironside saw the government lose its way. He was starting to have his doubts about the government a long time ago, which is why this protocol was put into place. And so, we're talking about somebody's genius level intellect here, and somebody that thinks in the long term, to a degree that very few humans can do. This, our Captain America is a great checkers player, but Ironsides is a chess player. He's a grandmaster chess player, and so. But he had advocated that for 50 years, out of his depression, out of being, being shuffled off to the side when you were, you were determining the direction, and suddenly you're a sideline player, and plus he lost his eye and his arm, and so he's dealing with that trauma. And he's dealing with the fact that his government was basically set him up, and that this nation that he loved basically turned their back on power people just because out of their own desire for security, and so he's basically became an observer, when he was like a player on the field, and so Captain America was always active. Captain America was always in the middle of it. And so this is a guy that's coming out of 50 years of rust, and plus he's got powers that he doesn't quite understand yet. The crystal in his arm, turns out it's a crystal that absorbs energy, and also projects energy. So that where he could only affect the gravity of stuff that he was touching before. Now he can project the gravity field, and so he's like learning. There's a so there's.
Can
like
you
a,
turn your phone off for the show?
No.
Ray, that's the alarm. So anyway.
Oh, never mind. I apologize.
But yeah, so that's the big difference, is the difference between a general and a soldier.
And obviously the powers.
The powers, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, Superman and all these other people, when they pick stuff up, there's always like the you have to get the weight. There's a way they have to get the weight. But Ironsides doesn't have that problem, because Ironsides can change the gravity of whatever he's touching. And so it looks like he's got superpowers, but all he's doing is like lowering the gravity on something. And plus he has a denser gravity, personal gravity. So he's actually denser than human. So
Yeah,
that's
more
why they thought he
durable
was
that way.
more durable. And that's why they thought he was bulletproof all the time. See, his nickname is pretty cool. During the War of 1812, he was when he met Killhauler. Killhauler was a privateer. In the War of 1812, America was basically hiring pirates to fight their battles. And he was one of the people hired, and so he didn't know what he knew Ironsides only by reputation, so he didn't know what Ironsides was capable of. And Ironsides came onto his ship, in the Battle of New Orleans, and he was standing up on the bulwark, and they were getting broadsides from cannons of the British ships, and he was up there on the bulwark, and Killhauler just yells up there. He says, "Get down! Who do you think you are, Old Ironsides?" Which is the nickname of the Constitution at that time.
Yep.
And so that up to that point they called him the Cast Iron Continental. So so it's like Ironsides is a cooler name than that. So
That's
anyway.
awesome.
It's a great detail, though.
Yep.
Oh, you're a student of history, and it makes me so I've been sharing this out. I love the fact that you are tying in American history and American heritage and the love of everything that made us what we were in this book. And that's actually what I've been doing. I've been sharing it out. I've sent a couple of private DMs because I really do believe in what you're doing here. I believe in the comic, and I think that we need a modern day All-American hero. We do.
We do.
And this just I'm listening to everything you're saying. Dude, I'm listening to everything that you're saying, and I can't not believe that this wouldn't be the guy that I would want to put in front of my kids and say this is the all-American hero, right? This is the guy that we can all aspire to be, because that's what heroes are supposed to make us do.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, you've done at least a little bit of studying in history.
A little bit.
Where does that come from for you? Where does the love of history come from?
Well,
for you?
if you don't mind, I'm going to cut in. Yeah, because it is 9:30, so I'm bailing as for the new
sir.
Yes,
I know. We do. Okay.
Not going to say it.
So, all right. So I want to toss this out there, though.
Well,
John A. Douglas, I see you in the chat. You came in, you helped out last week. Would you be willing to help out this week in Richard's absence?
you can just start jumping on at 9:30 if you want.
Well, no, here's the thing. Actually, Daniel and I talked about this. We're like, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to have backup guests hosts for the week who we know are going to be there. God forbid something like, my daughter breaks her arm and somebody could come in and help.
Yeah. You just need somebody to come in. Hey, George. Hey, Ralph.
Or I get too drunk and fall asleep.
There you go. But I was going to say thank you. I really enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing your campaign do well.
All right, no problem. Thank you, man.
Eventually,
I'm going to submit something to Iron Age Media. I have the
form,
yeah.
I was going to say one of the prompts, which actually somebody just mentioned, or somebody asked about the voting. And holy smokes, I'm supposed to be doing July voting right now. I completely forgot. So check, keep your eyes.
How are you that bad at this?
I know, I'm terrible.
You
For the 1
year
year
be an
anniversary of this
expert
site,
by
I've
now.
forgotten to take care of it. But I'll have things up tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled, everybody.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, you can find me there. I'm doing one last Ample Magazine show. Get the second issue if you haven't yet. Submit your issue number 3 stuff. And everybody have a good weekend. And I'll talk to you on Sunday if you want to swing by the chill stream, or next week. So
pleasure meeting you. Hey, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you. And
awesome.
I'm not going to make fun of Royce this time. So everybody just have a good night.
Wow. Oh, wow. I feel
Later,
no, I don't feel
growing.
honored. That feels weird.
I'm
Why aren't you
feeling-
making fun of me? Why that
I'm feeling
doesn't feel right.
magnanimous.
That's
There you go.
that's well,
It's not
boy, that's I
magnanimous.
don't
You don't
like.
love
Wants to
him.
leave.
Sometimes I get the feeling you don't love me anymore. Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
It's no lie.
Oh well. Oh well.
Get in here, John.
Oh God. I'm trying to get him, but he's not listening.
Yeah, he's gotta spend time with his wife and kids, or something frivolous like that in the world.
I suppose we'll allow it.
Right.
Oh God. Oh
an hour
good
and a half.
Lord.
Couple
Yeah.
glasses in, don't mind me.
Couple glasses, a couple. Oh my God. Oh, he's got to pass this week. Oh, good God, no. Oh, he's got to pass this week. Oh, we have no guest co-host to get us through.
Oh well.
I mean, now it's just up to me and Daniel.
I like the way he says that. Now it's just up to me.
And a drunk Daniel. There you go.
I mean, it's not like we couldn't pull it off, but
We can pull it off just fine.
you say
yeah,
this.
Maji is actually went to dentist today, so she's probably flying right now. So
Yeah, she's probably. We could. Oh, hey, there's McCoppin. We could always pull McCoppin.
No, we're only allowed to have 2 Daniels in a stream.
He didn't say he'll be future Daniel. We gotta,
It's Brian.
Oh God, it's.
No, I don't mind.
No, I figure I'd throw it out there
I
because
just know he's going to show up in the wig if we do let him on.
it's very, very true. It's very true.
somebody needs to get voluntold. Okay.
Right.
It's fine. So
It's why is it always an hour and a half that this show goes off the rails? It's like we had a little bit of a streak there for a while where we'd make it like a little past an hour and a half and we wouldn't go off the rails. Since the inception of this show, it's like the 90-minute mark, everything just goes sideways all to hell.
it was a sign from the universe, Royce.
I guess.
I don't like signs from the universe. No, I will say this about community service. I don't have any more questions for the project.
Okay.
I've already sent it to my wife because I'm like, hey babe, like I want to back this. And that's a big thing. Like my wife moves around a lot of money so that way we can back certain projects. That's why I can't back all of the projects because I'm raising 4 kids. But I've already sent this off to a few people. I already made a post on Twitter tagging
thank you.
people that I never tag on Twitter. But I feel something with this project, and I don't know, maybe it's just my overwhelming sense of American pride. But I need there to be a book like this to give to my kids. I'm assuming this is something that's either PG-13, which my kids are definitely.
Yeah.
I don't
it's
have a
gonna be
lot.
PG-13 pretty much at the worst.
Yeah, and here's the thing: is I don't have a lot of questions left because I don't want to ask a lot of questions because I want to experience the book when you release it.
Totally understand. Totally understand.
Yeah, I could ask more about, what made you want to bring the character, what made you want to start the character in, the 1770s where obviously he's an adult. How did he grow up, blah, blah, blah. There's all of these questions that I could ask. But it's like, why ask these questions when I could just, I'm pushing people. I'm telling people, if you can't back this project, share this project, share it everywhere, show other people, show people who are patriotic this project.
Right.
The community service is one of those, like I said, this spoke to me and I was like, nope, we need to get this guy on. We need to, we have got to put this out here. I mean,
And he did a great job explaining it, so there really wasn't too much more that needed to be said.
And for those of you and it's very bad in the thumbnails because I'm horrible at thumbnails, but ladies and gentlemen, this was the image that I used for the thumbnail.
Yeah.
This was the image that I used.
And I am working right now on a third cover that I'm going to add to the campaign as soon as it gets completed.
Nice.
So, let me share.
Sure.
This is let me see.
I'm getting a. So no, go on. Sorry, I've got to answer something. I just got a phone call, and I will. Yeah, I'll be back. My bad.
Okay.
Well, at the very least, you'd talk about it.
Well, yeah. A friend of mine, I've been helping him with his project. I've been pushing his book, and he's a really, really talented artist. And I gave him one of the things that I always wanted to do. One of the because I'm a big fan of Americana, and there's nothing more Americana than the Saturday Evening Post. And
Very
if
nice.
if you do a post, you have to do a Norman Rockwell cover, right? And so I basically he wanted to do something for me, just because right now my money's kind of like maxed out trying to get some art done and things like that. My pain. And so basically it was just I was like, okay, I want a Norman Rockwell, and I want that kind of style, and I need that little bit of humor, and this is pretty much what he came up with, and it's really, I've got a guy who does painted style that's going to work on it. So this is going to be
Did you share it with Royce, or
it is currently shared right now in StreamYards.
let's see it, man.
It's up to him to put it up.
I'm working on it. I do not see anything in the links.
Okay. Well, it's over on shared. I'm sharing it.
Oh wait, there it is. Got it.
Okay. There you go. So this is the cover.
That looks so cool.
Yeah. So
Very
this is,
cool.
so this is Obsidian Man, who's the big bad, and this is Ironsides, and there's a hound dog.
I feel bad for the hound dog. If you know anything about hound dogs, all they try to do is sleep, especially when they're old. That hound dog, that okay.
Yeah.
If your book gets funded, we need a 10-page short story of what the hound dog did after this horrible moment in its life. Where does the hound dog go? What does it do?
Yeah.
Why?
It's just I wanted a Rockwell, and he definitely gave me a Rockwell. So
Yeah,
right now it's
you
incredible.
see the eyes on that poor dog. It's got trauma cat vibes.
It does. That dog is just like, what? It was sleeping. That dog was sleeping. And he's like, what is happening?
What in the world? Yeah. So this is just having fun with it, but that's it's currently being painted. It's gonna be a painted style. Plus, I'll have I'm actually going to put this art onto the campaign. If I don't fall in so much in love with it, I can't stand to part with it, which might happen. But yeah,
At the very least, we have got to get Ironsides petting the hound dog, just like a commemorative card of Iron. No, you don't have to do that. I'm sorry. I see that, and what I love about this is that had the hound dog not been there, you wouldn't have the oh shit moment of this scene, right? Like it would just be like, oh, these two guys are supposedly they're in a barber shop. Looks like he's a barber, and they're gonna go at. But you have the hound dog there as the audience character going, what the hell is happening? Like I know you probably weren't expecting the reaction of like, oh, they're gonna love the hound dog. Yeah. But I love that addition because that is how the audience is looking at this. Like,
right.
Why? Wait, he's just trying to get a haircut. Why is the barber trying to kill him? Like,
well, the thing about Rockwell, is Rockwell always did like these in media res pictures where you're looking at a moment in time where there's like this is a moment out of somebody's day, the dog is like chasing the kid, and the kid is on the red wagon and being pulled by another dog or something like that. It's always these moments in time or these familiar, like Americana moments, and,
there were art pieces that were very much like photographs, still shots.
But it's like a warm jacket on a cold day or something, Everybody loved Norman Rockwell because they felt like that's my neighbor drawing me, And so that's what I asked for, and that's Ron Mosicki is his name, and that's what he got me. That's Romo Art is what he goes by, but yeah, that's what I asked for, and that's what he got me. And right now, I'm getting it painted, and it's gonna be. I'm gonna put this another cover up and see if I can. It's gonna help the campaign get over the hump. But
absolutely. Well, and I'll be sharing it. Like I'll be sharing it and talking with my wife and seeing if we can't back it. We've got some things we got to pay off, but like. Yeah. I'm dude, you had me hooked the week that you released it. You had me hooked. Like you really did. So we've been doing a lot of short shows lately that are usually right around about 2 hours. And the reason being is because I'm tired and I'm a wuss. I'm reaching the point of being too tired that I can give you a good show, and I don't want to start deteriorating into a bad show. So,
plus Richard decided he was going to be done.
Well, yeah, Richard. Well, yeah, but Richard's gay. It's fine. But
by the way, just one last little thing. I was
going to drunkenly stay for 3 hours.
well, one last little thing. I have a part of the FERA files. A tier is a short story collection. And I've created a character in one of the short stories based on you. Daniel knows about this. So, yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Based on you.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Because you were so impressed that I could, like, that tier where I could write a character into the story. You are now a government assassin. They've been nicknamed the Smoker.
I can't. Thank you. No, thank you. That is.
I wanted to get a piece of art done commissioned, but the prices I was getting back were just not.
No. So if God, what an honor. Oh my God, what an honor. So yeah, if I hadn't been saying to people before, like, guys, go back this project because I feel this project like I do. Like, I cannot tell you the reason that I brought this project on, especially, the give me liberty or give me death. Like, I know that quote. I know where that comes from. I love this project. And the fact that you just said that you have honored me with being a character in the FREA files.
I sent it to Daniel. Daniel read this short story. It's just like a 1,500 word short, but
that's
it's
1,500
cool.
More words than I deserve. I mean that.
Fun. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
It'll be the first appearance of a couple of my my uber villains. Don't really fit in the first book, but I went ahead and wrote them into the story. But if you need somebody that can be real subtle, it's like let's call it the Smoker. So. It's got to look like an accident, smoke inhalation or, carbon monoxide.
So is that because I actually smoke cigarettes or because I built a smoker?
Because you built a smoker, you're always obsessed about your smokers.
So. It's done now. Actually, I got to get it ready for tomorrow. I got to pull it out in the front of the driveway. And I think it's 850 pounds, man. That's
I can imagine.
It's I will say this. With its full weight, it's a little tough to get going. Once it get going, you need to stop it. Otherwise, you almost take out the wife's quarter panel on her car.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Nope.
No. I about had to make an insurance claim and make it look like an accident in a parking lot.
You about didn't survive, sir.
Oh no, I would have survived. I would have just had to get real creative with it. I'm still in shock. Seriously. Thank you. That just hits in a different way.
The Boondock Saints, you dude.
What the fuck do you mean about the Boondock Saints?
Right.
Romeo's crying. Shut up, Romeo's crying.
Voice is crying.
No, man, I'm not used to that yet. I'm not yet ever. Hopefully never. Man, that is an honor. Like I said, you came up with a project that resonated with me, and it still does. And I freaking love this thing, and I'm trying to reach out to whoever I can, and I don't have a wide net of people I can reach out to, but I will reach out to the people that I can.
I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it, man.
And I will say this, maybe touch base with, John A. Douglas. He might be able to help. Let me...
I've already been on Johnny's show. So,
okay.
Yeah.
There's one other guy that I can reach out to. I don't want to say the name here because I don't want to commit anybody to anything, but let me reach out to one other guy and see if they wouldn't be willing to help you out, because I think that they would be much, much, much better than I.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I really believe I believe in community service. It is American. It feels American, and damn it, dude, the last time that I've seen a project that feels American, like to just be American, to be proud to be American. I've not run across a project like that yet. Yours was the first that I've run across, just being in this world that I stumbled across, and I cannot tell you how awesome that is to see somebody else going, no, we need another American hero. We don't just need a hero story. We need an American hero. And you're one of the first projects that I've seen that's done that.
Well, I've seen people like with patriotic, style heroes, but I haven't. I feel like that's their motif. I don't feel like that's what they are. And Ironsides is very much American, He came to America, and this is his home. This is who he is, And so I really hope that that comes through. I want to be the comic equivalent of Oliver Anthony. That's what I want to be.
There you go. That'll work, man.
We go to the community.
Yeah.
The aggressive support structure, guys. Everybody in the chat.
I just share this. Share it on Facebook. Share it on Twitter. Share it on whatever Discord you're in. Just share this. It's guys. It's pro-American, and it's not like it's a bad story. It's actually good. It actually has. It's got the roots there. Just share this story. If you can't back it, share it. Tell people about it. Let people know. Find your patriotic friends. Like, let them know about this. I cannot tell you how much I love this. And I loved it from the moment that I saw it. And that's why we've got Telepathic Bunny on tonight. So
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
No, very much
now
so.
I gotta go and work an 8-hour shift.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, good. Well, I'm going to read some super chats really, really quickly. We've got Maji Chan for $2 says, I'm excited to see where this project goes. That was at 9 p.m. Oh my gosh, that was quite a while ago. Yeah. John A. Douglas, a member for 8 months, says, get TJ Lombardi guest. Great guest, always available. Yes, I've seen TJ. He actually pops into the chats he pops into my Sunday chats quite a bit. And then thank you so much. And then Maji Chan for $2 says, not going to that barber shop.
He's only going to take a little off the top. So.
Only a little bit off the top. Boy, my brain would be there, though. That would be that's a thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining us here on Iron Age Nights. T-Bunny, Telepathic Bunny, you have been absolutely amazing. We just got a super chat. Pritchard Pub. Royce. Oh, wait, no. Oh, no. He's making me say stuff.
Yeah.
This is not me. This is Pritchard Pub. He says, Royce, promise to buy my amazing wife a goat. I'm not buying my wife a goat. That's not a thing. I know who you are, Pritchard Pub. I'm not buying my wife a goat. No.
Committed now. I think he's committed.
I'm not committed. I'm not buying my wife a goat. No, I don't need a house goat.
Everyone needs that.
No, I don't need. You don't need a house goat.
Lies.
No, it's not lies. I already have enough aminals in the house.
Deep flies.
Oh man, oh good lord. Oh, well, thank you all so much for being here. Everybody, it's been absolutely fantastic. Guys, seriously, go back, community service. I'm going to be reaching out to the people that I can to help you, T-Bunny. I just hope we can get you funded, dude. Seriously. An American project for Americans. I love it, man. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here on Iron Age Nights number 44. And never forget that if you guys want to leave a comment and have me read it, I'll be here live on Sundays at 11 a.m. Central for Sunday Coffee. Cheers, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.